Welcome back to Hardball. Demonstrators protesting President Trump's refusal to release his tax returns marked Tax Day today, last Saturday the 15th, by taking to the streets in cities across this country. While most were peaceful, protesters out in Berkeley, California, clashed with pro-Trump demonstrators, leading to 21 arrests. That's too rough. Anyway, Trump responded on Easter morning in a series of tweets saying, quote, "I did what was almost an impossible thing to do for a Republican. Easily won the electoral college." Hot flash, Mr. President. Now tax returns are brought up again. Someone should look into who paid for this small organized rally. Anyway, yesterday the election is over. Unbelievable. Every president in the last 40 years, by the way, has released his tax returns, but Trump has claimed that a routine audit prevents him from doing so himself. Let's take a look at this and how he addressed that question over the last 14 months. Watch this montage.
I will absolutely give my return, but I'm being audited now for 2 or 3 years, so I can't do it until the audit is finished, obviously. It's under audit. I'll release them when the audit's completed.
My tax returns are very simple. They're under a minor audit, routine audit, as they have been for many years. Every year I get audited. At the appropriate time, I will release them. But right now I'm under routine audit. Nobody cares.
You know, the only one that cares about my tax returns are the reporters, okay?
You
They're the only ones.
The American public is concerned?
But no, I don't think so. I won. I mean, I became president. No, I don't think they care at all.
Well, the demonstrations this weekend appear to contradict the president's assertion that the American public's not concerned with his returns. Today, Press Secretary Sean Spicer was asked whether the president should lose that excuse that he's under audit.
You always talk about, well, under audit, the president says under audit. Is it time just to say once and for all, the president is never going to release his tax returns?
We'll have to get back to you on that.
You want, I mean, really?
Really?
So he may.
No, I said I'd have to get back to you on that. I think that he is still under audit. The statement still stands.
It's like the old Jesse Jackson. The question is moot. The question is moot. Anyway, I'm joined now by the roundtable, Jason Johnson, who's politics editor at The Root, and Annie Linsky's political reporter for the great Boston Globe. It's pronounced Boston. And Howard Fineman's at MSNBC, political analyst and global editorial director at The Huffington Post. Start here. I thought Jonathan Karl had a great question there. When are you going to stop this ruse and this pretension that you're under audit? When is it? Just say it. You're never going to release them. Get it over with.
Right. That's what's more interesting to me. I mean, we know why he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want his money to be revealed or possibly connections one way or another. But just say you're not going to do it. You're not running for re-election. The lying is what adds to the kind of anger that we saw in the protest last week. Just admit you're not going to do something.
See, that'll work, Andy. Just straight out there, hang a lantern on your problem. Just say, hey, look, I make a lot of money. I don't want the little people to see how much money I make, and I don't want them to see how little taxes I pay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's filing their taxes tomorrow if they haven't already done so, and that's traditionally when presidents will release theirs.
Why doesn't he just say he has an extension this year? He can't do it. A lot of people have that situation.
A permanent, endless extension.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think, and as a matter of fact,
you think Jason's right?
Yeah. No, his sons have said, both Don and Eric, at one point or another, said he'd be crazy to release his tax returns. We don't want to give our competitors information about our business. Oh. That's what they've said.
Okay, let's
now that he's president, he can't give the business competition excuse.
Okay, well, what adds to the problem here, and I'm not obsessed with this, some of my friends are, somebody in my family is, but let me just raise this question. When you add on the top of this, you double down and say, not only I'm not releasing my taxes, I'm not even going to let you know who comes into the White House, which doubled down. So, you know, I won't tell you about my business before I got here, and I'm not telling you about my business when I'm here. That is not the way the American system should work.
Well, it was so interesting at the White House briefing today when Spicer was asked about that. You know, on one hand, when he's talking about tax returns, he's saying, well, we don't know, we're not necessarily going to do it. But when he talks about the White House logs, then they're talking about tradition, and they're saying, well, no presidents really did this until Obama. We're going to go back to tradition. So he just, within 5 minutes, he's breaking one tradition that's been around for 40 years, and then on the other, he's saying, oh, no, we were just
What is he, Tevye? Is he Tevye? Is he singing tradition? Is this I never heard Trump rely on this.
He's got a few problems here. One of them is he was demanding transparency from Barack Obama for years. That's number one. Number two, things aren't really going that well in the Trump White House, so there's a natural curiosity from people to know what's going on, you know, on the deck, what's happening behind the scenes that's made this operation not work so well right now. And he's also flipped positions on so many things, and his numbers have plummeted as a result. People don't. More people don't trust him now, and you got to look at this transparency issue within the framework of that.
I'm not so sure that they don't. He's going down.
Yeah.
You think he's going down?
Well,
like in the last couple of weeks?
Well, so I think his job approval rating has ticked up in some polls.
Yeah.
At the same time that the people's personal regard for him have gone in the other direction.
What would you rather have, a higher personal regard or a higher job approval?
Yeah, well,
I'll take the
your
job
president
approval.
will take the job.
We call them ratings.
Well, if that's true, then he's going to continue along this way path.
I think it is ironic that people may think he's a little less, but I don't know how you can think he's more or less dishonest when he called Obama an illegal immigrant for 8 years and just laughs it off. And he says stuff that we know he knows under a lie detector test he would flunk. We know he didn't really believe Obama was from Kenya because there's absolutely no evidence of that.
Flexibility.
And he knew, and we know there's no audit. Can't the IRS, they claim the IRS, can't the IRS just make a statement, he's not under audit? Just make the announcement. Can't somebody, by the way, that would be a good leak. Somebody from the IRS just leak it.
People have been inviting the IRS people to do that for months now.
Have they?
And to their credit, so far they haven't.
And there's no consequence.
I thought they were all liberals over there. Why doesn't somebody leak?
Right. They might actually believe in the ethics. They might actually believe in the ethics of their job.
They're listening, Howard, and they're so taken with you.
I know, and it's tax day. Leave me alone.
I'm extending.
I just think overall, you know, whether it's the drain the swamp lie or anything else that he was saying, we're paying for the White House. I actually think that knowing who comes in and out of the House,
a trip.
yeah, that we're paying for as taxpayers, he has an obligation to tell us what has he got to hide.
Okay, you say that, but what he's looking right now. Well, he's probably saying, what do you got in your wallet? It's like Samuel L. Jackson, what's in your wallet? He said, I'm bigger, richer, and tough to you, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, he's not running for re-election for 3 years.
Let's talk about the people in the streets. Real people, they're not paid.
Right.
People I know, people I know, certainly. Howard, what is it? Is it their concern about, this concern's changed. First of all, was he just lying to the fact that he was not paying enough taxes. I think we had that evidence that came out. Remember, we got the one report out that said you could project it and show that he was taking so many tax deductions, he wasn't paying anything over like 15 years. And then there's also the concern about his entanglements, especially with Russia now. What do you think is driving that person in the street right now to protest?
The person in the street?
The one demonstrating this weekend.
They think, and there's some evidence to back up their theory, that this administration is being run like a giant private enterprise off the books for the benefit of global investors all over the world and people who may have lent Donald Trump money. I think what's at the root of people who are demonstrating that this administration is just a big private corporate exercise in control.
I'll be even more clear. They think it's a kleptocracy. Okay, when I talked to my friends who went there, they were like, look, this guy, we're paying for his kids to vacation. We're paying for him to hang out at his own place every weekend. We're paying for Trump Tower. This is their modern Boston Tea Party. So that's what this is about. People just think that he's running a scam on the United States, just like he did with Trump University.
Speaking of Boston.
Yeah, well, great.
we're just
nice transition here. No, but
Boston Tea Party.
You know, I think we're going to keep hearing this because Trump has said that he wants to do an overhaul to the tax code, and you cannot have a massive piece of legislation like that moving through this town and expect not to have his own taxes come up over and over.
It'd be nice
well, that's when you say that's when you say on the tax
what's in your wallet.
What's in your wallet.
Anyway, the roundtable sticking with us, and up next, these two will tell me something I don't know. Be right back.